Part 1, The Night in the Desert. The desert nights were unlike anything else in the world. When the sun disappeared behind the endless dunes, the heat of the day slowly faded, and the vast sky filled with countless stars. The wind whispered through the sand, and the silence of the desert reminded every traveler how small they were in the greatness of Allah. During the early years of Islam, travelers often crossed long desert roads between cities like Mecca and Medina. These journeys were difficult and sometimes dangerous. The desert was filled with unknown creatures, wild animals, and mysterious stories that people shared around their fires at night. Among the most common stories were the stories about the Jinn. In Islam, Jinn are real creations of Allah. They are mentioned in the Quran and belong to the unseen world. Allah created them from smokeless fire long before the creation of humans. Some Jinn believe in Allah. Some reject the truth. Some live quietly without interfering with humans. But others sometimes appear in strange places and try to frighten people. For many travelers in the desert, strange encounters were not impossible. And one night, such an encounter would lead to a story remembered for generations. It was a quiet night outside the city of Medina. The sun had already disappeared, and the sky had turned deep blue as stars began to shine across the horizon. A man was walking alone along a narrow desert path. The road was familiar, but the darkness of the desert always carried a strange feeling. As he walked, the silence around him felt different. The air felt heavier. Then suddenly he heard something. Footsteps. Slow and deliberate footsteps behind him. The man stopped. Slowly, he turned around. At first, he saw nothing. But then he noticed a tall figure standing several steps away. The figure looked like a man. But something about him was not normal. His shape seemed strange in the dim light, and his presence created a feeling of fear the traveler could not explain. The man stepped back cautiously. "Who are you?" he asked. The figure remained silent for a moment. Then it moved closer. The traveler's heart began to beat faster. Finally, the figure spoke. "I am one of the Jinn." The word sent a chill through the traveler's body. He had heard many stories about Jinn before. But meeting one face to face was something very few people experienced. The traveler tried to remain calm. "What do you want from me?" he asked carefully. The Jinn looked at him with a strange expression. "I challenge you," the Jinn said. The man frowned. "Challenge me?" "Yes," the Jinn replied. "I challenge you to wrestle with me." The traveler was shocked. He was not a warrior. He was not known for his strength. He was simply a man traveling across the desert. "I cannot fight you," the traveler said nervously. But the Jinn laughed loudly. "You humans are always afraid," it said. "I have defeated many men who walked this road." The traveler realized that this creature had probably frightened many travelers before him. Perhaps the Jinn had been using its strength to scare people for a long time. The man stepped back again. But suddenly the Jinn moved forward and grabbed him. The struggle lasted only a few moments. The Jinn quickly overpowered the traveler and pushed him to the ground. The man was shaken. His heart was racing as he stood up again. But the Jinn stepped back and allowed him to stand. "You see," the Jinn said proudly. "You humans are weak." The traveler remained silent. He was breathing heavily, trying to calm himself. Then the Jinn spoke again. "Bring me one of your strongest men," the Jinn said. "Let him fight me." The traveler looked at the strange creature. "You want to fight someone stronger than me?" "Yes," the Jinn replied. "I want to see the strength of your people." The traveler began thinking. Among the Muslims there were many strong men. But one name came to his mind immediately. A man known for his courage. A man known for his strength. A man who feared nothing except Allah. His name was Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, was one of the closest companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was known for his powerful personality and his deep faith. Before accepting Islam, Umar had already been one of the strongest and most respected men in Mecca. But after embracing Islam, his strength became something greater. It became strength guided by faith. The traveler finally spoke. "There is one man," he said. The jinn leaned forward. "Who?" The traveler answered slowly. "Umar ibn al-Khattab." For the first time, the expression on the jinn's face changed. There was a moment of silence. Even among the jinn, the name of Umar was known. Because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once said something remarkable about him. He said that when Shaitan sees Umar walking down a road, Shaitan chooses another path. The traveler continued speaking. "If you truly want to challenge a man," he said, "then you should meet Umar." The jinn stared at him carefully. Then a strange smile appeared on its face. "Very well," it said. "Bring me Umar." The traveler nodded. But inside his heart, he felt something different. Because he knew that if anyone could face such a creature without fear, it would be Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. And very soon, the desert would witness a confrontation that the jinn would never forget. The night had only just begun. Part 2, The Challenge of the Jinn. The traveler did not sleep that night. As he walked back toward the city of Medina, the desert wind brushed across the sand, carrying a strange sense of anticipation. His mind kept returning to the encounter he had just experienced. A jinn had challenged the people of the road. Not just any man, but the strongest among them. And the only name that had come to his mind was Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. The traveler knew Umar well by reputation. Every Muslim in Medina knew him. His presence alone commanded respect. He was known for his strength, his courage, and above all, his unwavering faith in Allah. But even knowing this, the traveler wondered if he should tell him. After all, this was not an ordinary challenge. It was a challenge from a creature of the unseen world. By the time the first light of dawn appeared over the horizon, the traveler had already reached Medina. The city was beginning to wake. Merchants were opening their shops. People were preparing for the morning prayer. And in the calm streets of the city walked Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was known for waking early and walking through the city to observe the condition of the people. He believed that a leader must know the state of his community. The traveler spotted him near the mosque. His heart began to beat faster. He approached slowly and greeted him. "Peace be upon you, Umar." Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, turned toward the man. "And peace be upon you," he replied. Umar looked at the traveler carefully. "You seem troubled," he said. "What has happened?" The traveler hesitated for a moment. Then he told the entire story. He described the quiet desert road. He described the strange figure that appeared behind him. He described the wrestling match. And finally, he explained the challenge. When the traveler finished speaking, Umar remained silent for a few moments. The wind moved gently through the streets of Medina. Then Umar spoke. "You say the jinn wishes to challenge the strongest among us?" "Yes," the traveler said. "And you told him my name?" The traveler lowered his head slightly. "Yes." For a moment, the traveler worried that Umar might be angry. But instead, Umar simply nodded. "Then we will meet him." The traveler looked up in surprise. "You will face him?" Umar's expression remained calm. "If a creature seeks to frighten the believers," he said, "then it must be confronted." There was no fear in his voice. Only certainty. That evening, as the sun began to disappear behind the desert horizon, Umar and the traveler set out along the same path where the encounter had taken place. The desert looked peaceful again. But the traveler could not forget the presence he had felt the night before. The sand shifted quietly beneath their feet as they walked. Eventually, they reached the place. The traveler stopped. "This is where I met him," he said. Umar looked around the empty desert. The sky was darkening. Stars were beginning to appear. For a few moments, nothing happened. The silence of the desert surrounded them. Then suddenly, the wind shifted. A shadow moved across the sand. And the tall figure appeared once again. The Jinn had returned. The traveler stepped back immediately. But Umar remained where he stood. The Jinn looked at the two men carefully. "So," the Jinn said slowly. "You brought him." The creature's eyes fixed on Umar. "You are Umar ibn al-Khattab." Umar answered calmly. "Yes." The Jinn studied him. For a moment, the creature said nothing. Then it spoke again. "I have heard about you." The traveler noticed something strange. The confidence in the Jinn's voice seemed slightly weaker than before. But the creature quickly regained its pride. "Are you the strongest among your people?" the Jinn asked. Umar replied without hesitation. "Strength belongs only to Allah." The Jinn laughed loudly. "You humans always speak like this," it said. "But tonight we will see the truth." The Jinn stepped closer. Its presence filled the air with an unnatural weight. "I challenge you," the Jinn said. "To wrestle." The traveler's heart began to race again. But Umar did not move. Instead, he looked directly at the creature. "Why do you challenge people on this road?" Umar asked. The Jinn shrugged. "To test their strength," it replied. "And to remind them that humans are weak." Umar's eyes narrowed slightly. "The believer is never weak," he said. The desert wind grew stronger as the two figures faced each other. The traveler could barely breathe. He was standing only a few steps away from something that felt unreal. A man and a Jinn were about to fight. The Jinn lowered its stance. "Are you ready?" it asked. Umar stepped forward. "Yes." The creature moved quickly. Far faster than the traveler had expected. In a flash, the Jinn lunged toward Umar. But Umar did not panic. He met the attack with steady strength. The two figures collided, and the sand beneath their feet scattered in all directions. The traveler watched in shock. The Jinn was incredibly powerful. But Umar did not fall. Instead, he held his ground. The struggle continued for several moments. Neither side moved. Then suddenly, Umar shifted his position and forced the Jinn backward. The creature stumbled across the sand. For the first time, the Jinn looked surprised. "You are stronger than the others," it said. Umar said nothing. He simply waited. The Jinn stood up again. Its expression had changed. This was no longer a game. The creature realized it was facing someone very different. And the desert night was about to witness something that even the Jinn had never expected. The challenge had only just begun. Part 3, The Battle with the Jinn. The desert had become completely silent. The traveler could hear nothing except the wind moving across the sand and the sound of his own heartbeat. In front of him stood two figures under the vast night sky. One was a creature from the unseen world. The other was Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. The Jinn slowly rose from the sand where it had stumbled. Its eyes were now fixed on Umar with a very different expression. Earlier, it had been confident, proud, even mocking. But now something had changed. The creature had expected an easy victory, just like the many travelers it had frightened before. But Umar had not fallen. Instead, Umar had pushed the Jinn back. For the first time in a long time, the Jinn felt something unusual. Respect. The creature circled slowly across the sand. "You are stronger than I expected," the Jinn said. Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, remained calm. "I rely only on Allah," he replied. The traveler watching nearby could hardly breathe. He had never seen anything like this before. A battle between a man and a jinn. Under the quiet stars of the desert. The jinn stretched its arms and rolled its shoulders. Then it spoke again. "Let us try again." Without waiting for an answer, the creature rushed forward. The sand scattered beneath its feet as it lunged toward Umar with incredible speed. But Umar did not move away. He stepped forward and met the attack directly. The two collided again. Their struggle sent sand flying in every direction. The jinn tried to overpower Umar using its strange strength. But Umar held his ground. For several long moments, neither of them moved. Then suddenly Umar shifted his weight and forced the jinn down to the sand again. The creature crashed to the ground. The traveler gasped. He could not believe what he was seeing. The jinn quickly rolled across the sand and jumped back to its feet. Its breathing had become heavier. This was no longer the easy fight it had expected. The creature stared at Umar carefully. "You have strength," it admitted. "But strength alone is not enough." The jinn raised its head and looked at the dark sky. Then it spoke again. Once more. Umar nodded. "If you wish." The jinn attacked again. This time the creature moved with even greater speed. Its hands reached for Umar's shoulders. But Umar reacted immediately. He grabbed the jinn and twisted his body with powerful force. Once again, the creature lost its balance. And once again, it fell. The sand shook beneath them. For several seconds the jinn struggled to escape. But Umar held the creature firmly. Finally, Umar released him and stepped back. The jinn slowly stood up again. Now its expression had completely changed. There was no laughter. No pride. Only surprise. "You have defeated me twice," the jinn said quietly. The traveler could see something he had never imagined. The creature looked uncertain. Umar looked at the jinn calmly. "Do you wish to continue?" he asked. The jinn remained silent for a moment. Then it shook its head. "No." The creature looked down at the sand. Among humans, it had faced many men before. Some were strong. Some were brave. But none had been like this. None had carried the calm strength that Umar possessed. The jinn finally spoke again. "Tell me something." Umar waited. "What gives you this strength?" Umar answered without hesitation. "My faith in Allah." The wind moved gently across the desert. For the first time, the jinn seemed thoughtful. Among the jinn there were many stories about humans. Some humans were weak. Some were arrogant. Some were easily frightened. But there were also stories about certain believers whose faith gave them a different kind of strength. The jinn looked at Umar again. "You are different from other men," it said. Umar remained silent. The creature continued speaking. "I have fought many travelers on this road. They were afraid. But you were not." Umar finally answered. "A believer does not fear the creation. He fears only the Creator." The traveler standing nearby felt chills run down his spine. The words carried a deep truth. The jinn lowered its head slightly. Then it spoke again. "I have one final question." Umar waited. "If I fight you again," the jinn asked slowly, "will the result change?" Umar looked at the creature. "No." The answer was simple. But it carried absolute certainty. For several seconds, the desert remained silent again. Then the jinn began to laugh softly. Not with arrogance. But with amazement. Among the humans, the jinn said, "I have never seen anyone like you." The creature stepped back. The challenge was over. But the conversation that followed would become even more important than the battle itself. Because the Jinn had finally understood something about the strength of true faith. And the words it spoke next would be remembered long after that night in the desert. Part 4, The Truth the Jinn Confessed. The desert night had grown quieter than before. The wind that had once carried tension across the sand now moved gently, almost peacefully. The stars above seemed brighter, watching silently as the strange encounter reached its final moments. The traveler still stood a short distance away, hardly believing what he had witnessed. A Jinn had challenged a man. And that man was Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. Twice the Jinn had been thrown to the sand. Twice the creature had been defeated. But now the battle was over. And something much more interesting was about to happen. The Jinn stood silently for a few moments, looking down at the sand beneath its feet. It seemed deep in thought. Then slowly it lifted its head and looked again at Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. There is something I must admit, the Jinn said. Umar remained calm. The traveler listened carefully. In all my encounters with humans, the Jinn continued, I have never seen anyone like you. The desert wind brushed across the sand as the creature spoke. Many men travel this road, the Jinn said. Some try to fight me. Some try to run. But all of them feel fear. The creature paused. But you did not. Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, simply replied. Fear belongs only to Allah. The Jinn lowered its head slightly. It had expected arrogance from a victorious opponent. But Umar showed none. Instead, he stood calmly, as though the entire encounter meant nothing more than a small moment in the night. The Jinn spoke again. I now understand something. The traveler leaned forward slightly. What do you understand? He asked quietly. The Jinn answered slowly. The strength I felt tonight was not just the strength of a man. It was the strength of faith. The desert remained silent as the words echoed softly in the night air. The Jinn turned toward Umar again. Among the Jinn, it said, there are many stories about the believers among humans. Some humans are strong. Some are wise. But a few are protected by their faith. Umar looked at the creature carefully. Protection belongs only to Allah, he said. The Jinn nodded. Yes. That is what I felt. The traveler felt chills run across his arms. For the first time since the encounter began, the creature seemed completely different. No pride. No arrogance. Only respect. The Jinn took a few steps backward across the sand. Your prophet spoke the truth, it said. Umar raised his head slightly. The Jinn continued speaking. It is said that when Shaitan sees Umar walking down a road, Shaitan chooses another path. The traveler remembered those words. They were the words of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Many companions had heard that saying before. But tonight, the meaning of those words had become very real. The Jinn looked again at Umar. I understand why now. Umar did not respond. The creature then turned toward the traveler. You were wise to bring him. The traveler smiled nervously. I only brought the strongest man I knew. The Jinn shook its head slightly. You brought more than that. You brought a man whose heart fears Allah. The desert wind moved softly through the night once more. The tension that had filled the air earlier had completely disappeared. Finally the Jinn spoke again. Our challenge is finished. Umar nodded. Then go. The Jinn hesitated for a moment. Then it said something unexpected. There is one thing I must promise. Umar waited. I will no longer trouble the travelers on this road. The traveler looked surprised. The creature continued. Tonight I learned something that I had forgotten. True strength does not come from power. It comes from faith. The Jinn slowly stepped backward into the darkness of the desert. Its figure began to fade into the night. Before disappearing completely, the creature spoke one final time. Among humans, I have never seen anyone like Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. Then the jinn was gone. The desert returned to complete silence. For several moments neither Umar nor the traveler spoke. Finally the traveler turned toward Umar. "I will never forget what I saw tonight," he said. Umar began walking back toward Medina. The traveler quickly followed him. As they walked across the sand, the traveler asked one final question. "Were you not afraid?" Umar stopped for a moment and looked toward the horizon. Then he answered calmly. "A believer who trusts Allah does not fear the creation. He fears only the Creator." The traveler thought deeply about those words as they continued walking. The stars above them shined brightly over the silent desert. And the lesson of that night would remain in the hearts of those who heard the story. Because the encounter had revealed something powerful. Not the strength of a man, but the strength of a heart that truly trusted Allah.